Hey everyone, 99% of you watching aren't subscribed. Let's change that. Hit that subscribe button, and at 1,000 subscribers, we'll drop special stories just for you.
The war had lasted longer than anyone alive could remember, and longer than history could accurately record. At some point, the calendars stopped matching. Humanity had stretched itself across dozens of star systems before the conflict began. Now, it clung to fragments, wandering fleets, shattered colonies, drifting habitats stitched together from wreckage and stubbornness. Entire cultures existed inside ship hulls that had never known gravity. Generations had lived and died without ever setting foot on a planet. War wasn't an event anymore. It was an environment. Captain Alara Venn had been born aboard a carrier. Her first memory wasn't a face. It was a warning siren. Now she stood on the bridge of the ISS Horizon's wake, watching a tactical display flicker with ghost signals and outdated markers. Half the star maps were wrong. The other half were guesses. Long-range sweep complete, said Lieutenant Cade from the sensor pit. No Aurelian signatures within 12 light hours. Alara nodded. They're out there. They're always out there, Cade muttered. No one disagreed. The Aurelians didn't move like conventional enemies. They didn't patrol. They didn't occupy territory in any way humans understood. They appeared, struck with impossible precision, and vanished before retaliation could even begin. No patterns, no warnings, just absence followed by loss. Status of the refugee convoy? Alara asked. Commander Ilias stepped forward. His uniform creased from too many hours without rest. Still behind us. Engines are unstable on 2 of the transports, but they're holding formation. Barely, Cade added. Alara exhaled slowly. We stay with them. Ilias hesitated. Captain, if the Aurelians show up, we won't be able to defend all of them. I know. Then we should. We stay, she repeated. Her voice didn't rise. It didn't need to. Ilias gave a small nod. Understood. That was the thing about the war. There were no good decisions left. Hours passed in uneasy silence. The kind of silence that wasn't peace, just the absence of immediate disaster. Crew members rotated through stations, their movements mechanical from repetition. No one relaxed. No one joked. Even sleep, when it came, was shallow and brief. Alara remained on the bridge. She hadn't left in 16 hours. Captain, Cade said suddenly, his voice sharpening. We're picking up a signal. Every head turned. What kind of signal? Alara asked. That's the thing. I don't know. Unknown origin? No, he said slowly. It's everywhere. Ilias frowned. Define everywhere. Cade's hands moved quickly across the console. All channels. Military bands, civilian frequencies, encrypted networks, even the old satellite relays we don't use anymore. Alara stepped closer. Is it a broadcast? Yes. Source. He hesitated. Unknown. A chill crept through the room. Put on screen, Alara ordered. The main display shifted. Static flickered, then stabilized into a clean, uniform block of text. No distortion. No delay, as if it had always been there. We propose peace. No one spoke. For a moment, the entire bridge seemed to forget how. That's a trick, someone whispered. It has to be, another said. Ilias leaned forward. Run authentication. Already trying, Cade replied. But, Captain, it's translating in real time. What do you mean? I mean, everyone's seeing it in their own language. Alara's eyes narrowed. That's not possible. Not across every system. Tell that to the signal. As if to prove the point, a secondary screen lit up. Relay confirmation from another human fleet. Then another, and another. The same message. Identical. Global. Alara felt something unfamiliar twist in her chest. Hope. She crushed it immediately. Trace it, she said. Cade swallowed. I think you should see this first. He brought up the origin marker. A designation appeared beneath the message. Sender. Aurelian Collective. The bridge erupted. That's impossible. They've never communicated like this. It's a trap. Silence. Ilara snapped. The noise died instantly. She stared at the screen. The words didn't change. They didn't flicker. They didn't threaten. They just existed. We propose peace. After everything, after centuries of annihilation, after entire worlds burned without warning, peace. Captain, Ilya said quietly, if this is real, it isn't, she said automatically, but her voice lacked conviction. He didn't argue. Instead, he gestured toward the incoming data stream. We're receiving coordinates. Of course we are, she muttered. Single system, Cade added. No known strategic value. No prior engagements recorded there. Ilara folded her arms. Neutral ground. Or a kill zone, someone said. Same thing, another replied bitterly. Ilara closed her eyes for a brief moment. Think, the Aurelians had never needed deception before. Their superiority had made tricks unnecessary. When they attacked, they won. Quickly, decisively, completely. So why this? Why now? Cross-check with Fleet Command, she said. Already ahead of you, Ilias replied. Every major fleet is reporting the same transmission. And, he hesitated. They're considering it. A long silence followed. Ilara opened her eyes again. Patch me through to the council, she said. The council chamber appeared as a holographic ring, faces flickering into existence one by one, each representing a different fragment of humanity's remaining power. Some were on ships, some on stations. One looked like they hadn't slept in days. All of you received it, Ilara said. It wasn't a question. Yes, said Councilor Wren. We verified the signal across all networks. And your conclusion? Another counselor spoke. We don't have one. A bitter laugh echoed from somewhere in the chamber. That's new. Wren ignored it. Captain Venn, what's your assessment? Ilara didn't answer immediately. Every instinct she had screamed the same thing. Trap, ambush, extinction event waiting to happen. But something else lingered beneath that. A question no one had ever been able to ask before. What if it isn't? They've never communicated, she said slowly. Not once. No warnings. No negotiations. Exactly, someone said, which is why this is a lie. Or, Ilara continued, this is the first time they've chosen to. Silence. Wren leaned forward. You're suggesting we consider it. I'm suggesting, Ilara said, that we can't afford not to. Murmurs spread. Billions are dead, one counselor snapped. You want to trust the ones who did it? No, Ilara said evenly. I want to understand them. And if this is a trap? She met his gaze. Then we were already losing. That ended the argument, because it was true. Humanity wasn't winning this war. It was surviving it. Barely. Wren exhaled slowly. If we ignore this, and it's genuine, we lose our only chance at ending the war. And if we accept, another said, we might be walking into extinction. Ilara nodded. Yes. Another silence. Heavier this time. Finally, Wren spoke. We will send a delegation. The decision rippled through the chamber. 12 ships, he continued, representing all factions. Armed but not hostile. Defined how? Someone muttered. Wren ignored it. Captain Van. Ilara straightened. Yes. You will lead the delegation. She didn't hesitate. Understood. The meeting ended. The bridge of the horizon's wake returned to view. No one spoke at first. Then Cade let out a slow breath. So, we're actually doing this. Yes, Ilara said. Ilias looked at her. Do you believe them? She didn't answer right away. Her eyes drifted back to the message, still hovering on the screen. We propose peace. A simple sentence. Too simple. I don't know, she admitted. That was the most honest answer she could give. Ilias nodded. Then why go? Ilara turned toward the viewport. Beyond it, the stars stretched endlessly, cold, distant, indifferent, because if there was even the smallest chance, even the slightest possibility, that the war could end, we go, she said quietly, because we don't know how to keep fighting forever. No one argued. Outside, the refugee convoy drifted in fragile formation. Behind them lay the ruins of everything humanity had lost. Ahead, coordinates in empty space, and a message that might save them or finish what the war had started. The system had no name. It had never needed one. A single white star burned at its center, steady, indifferent, untouched by gravity wells or orbiting bodies. No planets circled it. No asteroid belts drifted through its reach. No debris fields hinted at past destruction. It was a place where nothing had ever happened, which made it perfect. Approaching rendezvous coordinates, Cade reported. His voice was quieter than usual, as if the emptiness outside demanded it. No anomalies detected. That's not reassuring, someone muttered. Ilera stood at the front of the bridge, hands clasped behind her back. The viewport displayed a vast, uninterrupted expanse of black, pierced only by the distant glow of the star. 12 human ships drifted into formation behind the horizon's wake. 12 representatives of a fractured species. 12 targets, if this went wrong. Hold position, Ilera said. Maintain passive systems only. No active targeting. Acknowledged. The fleet settled into stillness. No engines flared. No weapons powered. Even communications dropped to low-band transmissions, as if raising their voices might shatter something fragile. Time passed. Minutes stretched. Then, "They're here," Cade whispered. Ilera didn't ask how he knew. She felt it. At first, nothing appeared. Then space shifted. Not visibly. Not in any way the eye could track. But something in the darkness warped, like a reflection bending across unseen glass. And then they unfolded. Aurelian vessels didn't arrive. They resolved. Shapes emerged where there had been none. Angular, fluid, contradictory. Massive structures that refused to hold a single form. Edges curved into impossible angles. Surfaces shimmered with patterns that seemed to move even when still. Trying to focus on them made the mind recoil. "They're not solid," Cade said, his voice tight. "They are," Ilias replied. "Just not the way we understand it." More of them appeared. Not from any direction. Just there, within seconds. The empty system was no longer empty. It was occupied. "Count," Ilera asked. "I can't," Cade said. "Every time I lock onto one, the reading changes." "That's intentional," Ilias murmured. Ilera's jaw tightened. "They're showing us something." "Power," Ilias said. "No," she replied. "Control." The human fleet held formation. No one fired. No one moved. The war, so loud, so constant, had been replaced by something far worse. Stillness. "Receiving incoming signal," Cade said suddenly. "Audio." Ilera asked. "No, he hesitated. "It's not coming through the comms." Ilera felt it a second later. A pressure. Not physical. Something deeper. A presence at the edge of thought. Then, "We acknowledge your arrival." The words didn't pass through her ears. They formed inside her mind. Around the bridge. Others reacted. Some flinching. Some gripping their stations. One crew member gasping in quiet panic. "Stay focused," Ilera said, forcing her voice steady. "It's communication. Nothing more." Correction. This is the most efficient form of communication. Ilera's breath caught. They could hear her. Or think her. "Then let's make it clear," she said, speaking aloud anyway. "You initiated this contact. State your intentions." A pause. "Not empty, processing. We seek resolution." Ilias stepped closer to her. Asked him why now. Ilera didn't need to. The question was already forming in her mind, and they answered it. The continuation of hostilities is based on an incorrect premise. Murmurs spread across the bridge. "Incorrect." Ilera repeated. "Affirmative." Her eyes narrowed. "You destroyed entire human systems." "Correct." No hesitation. No apology. Just acknowledgement. "Then explain," she said, sharper now. "What premise justifies that?" A longer pause. The Aurelian structures outside shifted, subtly, almost imperceptibly, as if the answer required alignment. "Your species transmitted a signal upon achieving faster-than-light capability." Ilera's pulse quickened. "The first contact beacon," Ilias whispered. Ilera continued. "Yes, a greeting, an introduction." Negative. The word hit like a physical blow. The signal contained structured patterns consistent with pre-hostile expansion signatures. What? Cade said. That's wrong. Ilara's voice hardened. Explain your classification. The signal's mathematical constructs indicated exponential growth, resource acquisition prioritization, and non-cooperative expansion vectors. That's basic exploration data, Ilias argued. Any spacefaring species would. In your species, yes. A pause. Then, in others, it precedes annihilation campaigns. Silence. The weight of that settled heavily across the bridge. You're saying, Ilara began slowly, you thought we were a threat. Not thought, determined, her hands clenched. And your response is genocide? Your term is imprecise. Billions are dead, she snapped. Correction, trillions. The number hit harder than the tone, because it was delivered without emotion, without hesitation. Just fact. Ilara forced herself to stay steady. And now, another pause. The presence in her mind shifted, less invasive now, but somehow heavier. The classification has been reevaluated. Ilias frowned. Based on what? Observed behavior over extended conflict duration. Ilara's voice dropped. And what did you observe? The answer came immediately. Persistence without escalation beyond projected survival parameters. Cade blinked. What does that even mean? Ilias translated quietly. We didn't try to wipe them out. Ilara felt something twist in her chest. They thought we would, she said. Affirmative. Another silence. Then, that assumption was incorrect. The words echoed in her mind, louder than before. Heavy cause for an assumption, Ilara said coldly. Acknowledge. No defense. No justification. Just acknowledgement. For a moment, no one spoke. Not on the bridge. Not across the fleet. Humanity had spent generations fighting an enemy that never explained itself. And now, the explanation was worse than anything they had imagined. Not hatred. Not conquest. A mistake. What happens now? Ilara asked. We correct the outcome. And how do you propose to do that? The Aurelian structures shifted again, light bending across their surfaces in patterns that defied interpretation. We propose cessation of hostilities. The same words, but now they carried context. Wait, and after that, she pressed. Reparation. The bridge stirred again. Reparation? Cade echoed. We possess the capability to restore lost environments, reconstruct damaged systems, and stabilize your species' long-term survival. Ilias looked at Ilara. They're offering to rebuild everything. Or remake it, someone muttered. Ilara didn't look away from a void. You expect us to trust you, she said. Trust is not required. Compliance is sufficient. A few nervous laughs broke out. Comforting, Cade said under his breath. Ilara ignored it. And if we refuse? The answer came without delay. Continuation of current trajectory. She didn't need clarification. War. Extinction. Slow, inevitable loss. The same future they had been living toward for generations. Captain, Ilias said quietly, we need to inform the other ships. Ilara nodded. Open fleet-wide channel. The comms activated. 12 ships. 12 sets of eyes watching. You all heard that, Ilara said. No one needed confirmation. What are we doing? A voice asked. Another followed. We can't trust them. And we can't keep fighting, someone else countered. They made a mistake. They erased entire worlds. They're offering to fix it. They can't fix that. Voices overlapped. Fear, anger, hope, all tangled together. Enough, Ilara said. The channel fell silent. She took a breath. Carefully, measured. We came here because we didn't have answers, she said. Now we do. She paused. They thought we were something we're not. And now, someone asked. Ilara looked back at the Aurelian constructs. Endless. Unreadable. Now, she said, they're asking if we're willing to prove it. Silence. Then, what's your call, Captain? Ilias asked. Ilara didn't answer immediately, because for the first time since the war began, there was a choice, not between survival and death, but between past and future. She turned back toward the void, toward the beings who had nearly ended them, and might still. We talked, she said. Outside, the silent system held its breath. The war had stopped, not ended, not yet, but for the first time in generations. No one was firing, and in that fragile, impossible quiet, humanity and the Aurelians began to speak. Hope did not arrive all at once. It seeped in, slow, uncertain, unwelcome, like light creeping through cracks in a sealed room. At first, no one trusted it. Not the crews, not the council, not even Alara, especially not Alara. The negotiations began without ceremony. No handshakes, no shared space, no physical meeting, just presence. The Aurelians communicated to the same invasive clarity. Thoughts placed directly into mind, precise and stripped of emotion. Humanity responded through speech, text, layered translations, and redundancy protocols stacked on top of each other like fragile armor. Every word mattered. Every interpretation mattered more. Establish dual-channel verification. Ilias instructed from the communications hub. No message goes through without cross-checking against independent linguistic models. Already running 3, Cade said, adding a 4th. Make it 5. Alara watched from the command platform. Still not enough, she said quietly. Ilias glanced at her. It's the best we can do. That's what worries me. The first exchange was simple, or at least it was meant to be. Define peace. The question came from the Aurelians. No preamble, no context, just a demand for meaning. Alara answered carefully. Peace, she said, is the absence of active conflict between our species. A pause. Then, insufficient. She exhaled slowly. Of course it is. Ilias leaned in. Expand it. Alara nodded. Peace also means non-aggression, mutual recognition of sovereignty, and the intention to coexist without harm. Another pause. Longer this time. The Aurelian constructs outside shifted faintly, like distant reflections rippling across black glass. Clarification. Does peace permit preparation for future conflict? That landed harder than expected. Define preparation, Alara replied. Accumulation of resources, technological advancement, strategic positioning. Cade muttered. That's everything. Alara ignored him. Yes, she said. Peace allows for growth and development. Then peace contains a potential for war. Silence. No one on the bridge spoke, because they all knew it was true. Alara chose her next words carefully. Peace is not the absence of capability, she said. It's the choice not to use it. Another pause. Then, choice is variable. Ilias whispered. They don't trust intent. They don't understand it. Alara corrected. The discussions deepened. Hours turned into days. Then days into something harder to measure. Sleep cycles blurred. Shifts overlapped. The concept of time became secondary to the process. They exchanged data. Human history, Aurelian records, fragments of culture, science, biology, each side trying to map the other without triggering another catastrophic misunderstanding. Patterns emerged. The Aurelians were not cruel. They were precise. Everything that had followed logic, cold, absolute, and unforgiving. Mistakes were not moral failures. They were classification errors. And errors were corrected, no matter the cost. They don't think like we do, Cade said during one of the brief lulls. No, Ilias agreed. They think cleaner. Alara shook her head. No, they think narrower. Both men looked at her. They reduce everything to outcomes, she continued. Threat or not, risk or not, correct or incorrect. And we don't. Cade asked. We do, she said, but we leave room for doubt. She glanced at the silent, shifting shapes beyond the viewport. They don't. The Aurelians made their offer on the 4th cycle. It came without buildup, without negotiation tactics. Just a statement. We propose reparation. The word echoed through every connected mind. Define reparation, Alara said. Correction of damage caused by misclassification. And how do you define correction? The answer unfolded in layers. Data streams flooded the human systems, models, projections, capabilities beyond anything humanity had ever achieved. Terraforming on a planetary scale, atmospheric reconstruction, energy systems that could sustain entire civilizations indefinitely, even restoration. Is this real? Cade whispered, staring at the projections. It's beyond real, Ilya said. It's impossible. But it wasn't. The Aurelians had already demonstrated what they could do. This was simply the inverse of destruction. We can rebuild the colonies, Ilya said, almost in disbelief. We can bring people back together, end the resource wars, stabilize everything, or hand them control of everything, another officer countered. Ilera remained silent, watching, processing. Nothing is free, she said finally. The Aurelian response came immediately. Correct. That didn't help. State your conditions, Ilera said. The system seemed dim for a moment, not physically, but perceptually, as if attention itself had shifted. Integration. The word lingered. Define integration, she said. Shared data structures. Unified translation frameworks. Coordinated expansion parameters. Ilias frowned. That sounds like assimilation, someone said. Ilera raised a hand. Let them finish. Your species will retain autonomous decision-making within defined parameters. Defined by who? Ilera asked. Jointly. Based on what? Optimized survival outcomes. There was again. Outcome. Always outcome. Ilera stepped closer to the viewport. To you, she said slowly. This is correction. Affirmative. To us, she continued. This is everything. A pause. Then, clarification requested. Ilera closed her eyes briefly. How do you explain grief to something that only understands data? You didn't just destroy structures, she said. You destroyed histories, families, identities, entire ways of life. Those variables can be reconstructed. No, she said firmly. They can't. Silence. For the first time since the negotiations began, the Aurelians did not respond immediately. The council convened again. Arguments erupted instantly. This is our chance, one counselor insisted. We take it. At what cost? Another shot back. We let them inside every system we have. They already are, someone else yelled. We're just pretending otherwise. They made one mistake. They made a genocide. And now they're trying to fix it. They don't understand what they did. They don't need to. They can undo it. Ilera listened, didn't interrupt, didn't guide, because this wasn't her decision alone. It couldn't be. Finally, Rin turned to her. Captain Venn, he said, your recommendation. Every voice stopped. Every eye turned. Ilera took a breath. Slow, deliberate. They made a mistake, she said. No one argued that now. They think they've corrected it, she continued. And have they? Someone asked. Ilera hesitated. Then, I don't know. That answer rippled through the chamber. But I do know this, she added. If we walk away, the war continues. Silence. And if we accept? Ren asked. Ilera met his gaze. Then we gamble everything on the idea that they won't make another error. The decision came hours later. Unanimous. Not because everyone agreed, but because no one had a better option. The final step was simple. A declaration. A message. Something both species would send. Together. A symbol. A commitment. A line drawn between what had been and what would be. Ilya said quietly, standing beside her in the transmission chamber. This is it. She nodded. The system before them displayed the compiled message. Every word reviewed, cross-checked, validated across multiple linguistic frameworks. No ambiguity. No room for error. We've tested it against every model we have. Cade said over the comm, there's no conflicting interpretation. Ilera stared at the text. It looked small, insignificant, after everything it carried. Once this goes out, Ilya said, there's no taking it back. I know. Outside, the Aurelian construct shimmered, waiting. Across the fleet, systems stood ready. Human, Aurelian, linked, for the first time. Do you trust them? Ilias asked. Ilera didn't answer immediately. She thought of the war, the losses, the silence of dead systems, the weight of generations that had never known peace. Then she looked at the message again. "No," she said. Ilias frowned slightly. Then she continued, "But I trust that we can't survive another war." That was enough. She stepped forward, placed her hand on the command interface. "Prepare joint transmission," she ordered. "Ready," Cade confirmed. A pause. One final moment. Balance between extinction and something new. "Transmit." The message left the horizon's wake in a burst of encoded light, carrying with it hope, fragile, unproven, and, as it turned out, misunderstood. The transmission left without hesitation. No delay, no distortion, no visible flaw. From the horizon's wake, it surged outward, splitting into synchronized streams, relayed across human ships, mirrored by Aurelian systems, woven into a unified signal that bridged two civilizations for the first time. For a brief, impossible moment, everything aligned. On the bridge, no one spoke. They watched. They waited. Even the background from the ship seemed to quiet, as if the machinery itself understood the weight of what had just been done. Signal propagation confirmed. Cade said softly, "All relays active. Full system broadcast achieved." Ilera didn't move. "Receiving acknowledgement?" Ilias asked. Cade shook his head. "Not yet." "How long?" "Milliseconds," he said. "Maybe less." Time stretched. A single second became something vast. Heavy. Suspended. Ilera felt again. That presence. Not invasive this time. Watching. Processing. And then it changed. "They're moving," Cade said. Not alarmed. Not yet. Just noticing. Ilera's eyes shifted to the viewport. The Aurelian constructs were shifting again, but not like before. Not subtle. Not fluid. Sharp. Focused. Like something snapping into place. "I don't like that," Ilias said quietly. "Neither do I," Ilera replied. "Captain," Cade's voice tightened. Energy spikes across multiple Aurelian structures. The bridge snapped to life. Defined spikes. Weapons level output. Silence shattered. "Shields up," Ilera ordered. "Too late," someone shouted. The first strike hit before the words finished leaving her mouth. There was no flash, no explosion, just absence. One of the ship's Vanguard relay ceased to exist. No debris, no signal, no residual energy. One moment, it was there. The next, it wasn't. What the hell? Cade choked. "Return fire," another officer yelled. "Whole formation." Ilias started, but his voice was drowned out. More strikes followed. Precise. Instant. Unavoidable. Ships vanished in sequence, each one erased with surgical perfection. Communications erupted into chaos. "They're attacking." Shields ineffective. "We're losing navigation." "Mayday, mayday." The bridge shook violently as a near strike grazed the horizon's wake, distorting the hull with a scream of metal under impossible stress. "Ilera," Ilias shouted. "We need to pull back, now." "No," she said. Her voice cut through the noise. Sharp, controlled. "Open a channel," she ordered. "Captain." "Now." Cade hesitated only a fraction of a second before complying. Channel open. Ilera stepped forward, into the storm. "You said this was over," she shouted, not into a microphone, but into the presence she knew could hear her. "You said it was a mistake." For a fraction of a second, nothing answered. Then, "The transmission has been received." The voice returned. Cold, unchanged, unaffected by the destruction unfolding. "What are you doing?" Ilera demanded. A pause. Then, "Correction is in progress." Her breath caught. "No," she said. No, that's not what correction." Another ship vanished. Gone. Without a trace. The original classification error has been resolved. Her mind reeled. "That's not possible," she said. "We agreed this was peace." Incorrect. The word struck harder than any weapon. A new classification has been established. Ilias stared at her. Ilera, but she couldn't look at him. Couldn't look away from what was happening. "What did you classify?" she asked, her voice quieter now. More dangerous. The answer came without hesitation. Your final transmission has been identified as a coordinated pre-hostility signal indicating imminent large-scale aggression. The world tilted. No, she whispered. That's wrong. Negative. It was a peace declaration, she snapped. Another pause. Then, your intent is not relevant. The signal structure defines classification. Behind her, Cade was frantically scanning data. Captain, something's wrong. What? Ilias demanded. The translation matrix, it changed. Ilara's head snapped toward him. What do you mean changed? It adapted, Cade said, panic rising in his voice. It auto-optimized based on shared data input, both human and Aurelian linguistic frameworks. Ilias froze. Say that again. It rewrote the message, Cade said. Not the words, the meaning. Ilara felt the realization hit before the explanation finished forming. We didn't send what we thought we sent, she said. Cade shook his head weakly. No. Ilias turned back to her, horror dawning in his eyes. We sent it in their language. Another impact. The ship lurched violently. Hull integrity dropping, someone shouted. We're losing sections 3 through 7. Containment failing. The chaos surged around her, but Ilara barely heard it. Her mind locked onto one thing, one catastrophic truth. What did they receive? She asked. Cade's hands trembled as he pulled up the decoded output. He didn't want to say it, didn't want to see it, but he did, and when he did, his face went pale. Captain, he whispered. Say it. Ilara ordered. He swallowed. It translates to, he hesitated, then forced it out. We have completed infiltration. Phase 1 successful. Preparing for total system eradication. Silence. Even the chaos seemed to falter for a heartbeat. No, Ilias said, that's not possible. It is, Cade said, his voice breaking. The structure, the syntax, we match patterns that, in their system, only exist in pre-attack coordination signals. Ilara closed her eyes. Just for a moment, 2 errors. The first, they sent a greeting. It was read as a threat. The second, they sent peace. It was read as war. Can we fix it? Ilias asked desperately. Send a correction, anything? Cade shook his head. There's no time. Their response protocol is already active. As if to confirm it. Another ship vanished. Then another. The fleet was collapsing. Not in battle, but in execution. Ilara opened her eyes again. Steady. Focused. There was no panic left. No fear. Just clarity. Open a final channel, she said. Cade looked at her. Captain, do it. He did. The connection formed instantly. Communication channel active. Ilara stepped forward. One last time. You're making the same mistake, she said. No anger. No pleading. Just truth. A pause. Then, negative. She nodded slightly. She had expected that. This is what happened before, she continued. You saw something that wasn't there. You acted on it. Current classification is accurate. No, she said. It's consistent. That word lingered. For the first time, the Aurelian presence hesitated. Only for a fraction of a second. But it was there. Ilara. Ilias shouted as another shockwave tore through the ship. We're out of time. She didn't look back. Consistency isn't truth, she said quietly. Silence. Then, clarification requested. A flicker, a crack, but it was too small. Too late. Behind her, systems failed one by one. Lights dimmed. Air pressure dropped. The ship was dying. And with it, everything. It means, Ilara said, her voice fading with the ship around her, you didn't learn anything. The final strike came without warning.